Hello, I'm Joe Stuckey. I'm a senior here at Bullis, and I have played football and lacrosse in my time here. As a varsity athlete, I feel being informed and educated on injuries has helped me become more of a well-rounded athlete. I chose to make this video to educate others on what a concussion is, signs and symptoms, the severity, and how we handle it at Bullis. We asked a series of people what they thought a concussion is, and here's what we got. What is a concussion?
Bruise inside the skull.
You have a brain bruising?
A concussion is basically when someone, hits something in their head, something in their brain sort of becomes dislodged.
Do you understand the severity of concussions?
No.
Not fully, no. I do not.
No, I don't think so.
They can cause permanent damage to your brain if you have more than one, and if you don't properly heal them, then you can have permanent damage.
Like one hit could change your life.
Left untreated, they can cause permanent damage, but it can also lead to loss of time in your sport.
Long-term effects.
Yeah, it can lead to permanent injuries or death.
A concussion is a brain injury, and all brain injuries are serious. They are caused by a bump, blow, or jolt to the head, or by a blow to another part of the body, with a force transmitted to the head, causing the brain to be violently shaken inside the skull. They can range from mild to severe and disrupt the way the brain normally works.
Include dizziness, forgetfulness, seeing stars.
Dizziness, you can be knocked out when you get it. Vomiting, you can be really out of it. Like in some cases, you can think that you're in a dream.
Nausea, dizziness, loss of memory. Can't remember anything.
Dizziness, unbalance, ringing in the ears, extreme headache, vomiting, loss of consciousness, general malaise, feeling of not quite knowing where you are, a fuzzy feeling, blurred vision.
There are many signs and symptoms of concussions, and some appear more quickly than others. They include headaches, nausea or vomiting, balance problems or dizziness, blurred, doubled, or fuzzy vision, sensitivity to light or noise, amnesia, fatigue or drowsiness, change in personality, confusion, and feeling sluggish or slowed down.
An athlete is out at various times. It depends upon the impact, it depends upon the severity of the injury, and there are ways to determine whether or not a child has recovered from an initial injury. Many people don't correctly diagnose that they've been concussed, and as such they rush back to get onto the field or onto the ice, when in fact it may take 24 hours for symptoms to come about initially, or it could take 24 hours for someone to recover. It could take 3 days, it could take a week. Many people have had to sit out an entire year.
Concussions were once labeled as just getting your bell rung, and you're taught to play through it and get back in the game. However, today there is no such thing as just getting your bell rung, and whenever an athlete has seemed to receive a hit that could cause a concussion, they are immediately pulled from athletic contests. Unlike breaking a bone or spraining an ankle, concussions are very hard to detect and are not easily diagnosed.
Once an athlete reports either sustaining a concussion or shows us signs and symptoms of a potential concussion, we follow proper protocol to ensure their safety and well-being. The first step is the athlete is evaluated by either myself or Ms. Jennifer Fry, the two athletic trainers here on staff. After we do our initial assessment and evaluation, we make proper recommendations for the athlete for that day. After that day, we are in contact with the school nurse, the school principals, and the learning specialists to give recommendations of what that student needs, both academically and athletically. The next step after that is we go to the student and wait till their symptoms subside and we provide them with an impact test. After that, we evaluate the scores of our impact test to their baseline and make proper recommendations, again, both academically and physically. After that is considered and done, we test the athlete on a weekly basis to make sure the athlete is improving or if there's other changes we need to make in the athlete's care. The big thing is if your child is receiving any sort of accommodations, your child is not allowed to participate in any after-school activity until fully cleared.
How are Bullis coaches taught to deal with athletes with concussions?
Bullis coaches are taught to deal with a lot of care. Concussions are obviously something that you can't see. You can't see physical harm. So we, in our CPR first aid, we talk a lot about impact and concussions that are happening on the field itself. And the coaches are asked to kind of be alert. We're very fortunate to have 2 athletic trainers full-time here at Bullis, and we kind of rely on them a lot to guide us in certain ways. But the main thing is for the coaches to recognize symptoms from the very beginning.
Here at Bullis, we impact test all of our athletes beginning in 6th grade, and then every new student in the middle school after that, and in the high school we test them in entry 9th grade, and then every 2 years after that. With our impact test, what it does is it gives us a baseline of their cognitive development, so that way if they do sustain or report any signs or symptoms of a concussion, the athlete can be tested with this impact and we can compare the results knowing how much they are affected by this injury.
What are your concerns about concussions?
I have many concerns about concussions. Having had a child who was concussed, I am concerned that a child will injure themselves, want to get back because they're an important part of their team and want to participate with their friends or teammates in order to help, when in fact it's an injury that is very dangerous and which really does need time in order to heal properly.
Key concepts for healing include both physical and mental rest. Some examples include encourage sleep, stay hydrated, and limit screen time, including cell phone use, TV, and computer use. Also, athletes should avoid physical activity until symptoms resolve themselves.
I'd say the hardest part is not being able to see the injury. A lot of it falls on the symptoms of the student and the parents communicating to us. A lot of the same symptoms that you get overlap with some of the others. You know, when you have dehydration and you get headaches, those overlap with concussion symptoms. And if something happens to happen at the same time in a practice, we have to rely a lot on the student to tell us. And for their response moving forward, it's important for us to be in huge communication between the trainers, between the parents, between the student, and between the athletic department. We also work a lot with teachers as well. So that communication from the initial impact that it happens has to come from the student and the coaches being educated enough to recognize those symptoms from the beginning.
Okay. Do you know what to do as a parent when your student athlete receives a concussion?
I do. If my student receives a concussion or is diagnosed or shows symptoms of a concussion, my first reaction is to go to the trainer here at Bullis. I think that Miss Rachel is actually one of the better trainers in the area. Her knowledge and skills in the area of concussions is tops in the area, and I would go to her seeking proper diagnosis. I will say also that many hospitals don't really understand the severity of concussions, and unless you're trained in dealing with concussions, many people just say, well, if you don't have a headache, you're okay, and that's wrong.
I actually think that the Bullis athletic training staff has done an amazing job educating families who child has been involved or had a concussion. When we dealt with a concussion in our family, I actually didn't know anything about concussions, and so all of my initial education came from the athletic training staff, and it was, I think, as a parent, really eye-opening, everything that you had to learn about rest and time off and resting the brain and all of those things. And I think if they weren't as cautious and careful as they are, I think a lot of our injured students would, kids want to get back in the game, and they want to get back in the game really quickly, and I can't say that I blame them, but that can do a lot more damage than I think as parents we even begin to realize. And I think that sort of our cautious approach in letting that brain rest is really important, and I was totally unaware to any of it, and they really also steered us in the right direction as to what doctors to see and who to go to, and what steps we should take in finding out exactly how bad things were and how to progress along the way. So they were amazing.
Concussions are serious injuries that need to be taken with extreme caution by the athlete, coach, athletic trainers, doctors, and student athlete. It is a team effort to get your child back to play, and concussions are very manageable when taking the right precautions. A simple rule to remember: when in doubt, sit them out.